Whoa, hey guys, I'm so excited. U squared, what? I want to tell you a story about like how I actually like ended up getting this, because when I bought it, I thought it was like a book, but it's like definitely not a book. And yet the impact that I've gotten from this is just ridiculously cool. The size of this really quantifies really the purpose of U squared. And you guys know like the 80-20 principle. This idea of like the 20% that are gonna, of like information and things that you can do, that are gonna get you 80% results, which is just like ridiculously powerful. And I really, like everything in this book tests right to that 20%, because the idea, right, is U squared, right? A high velocity formula for multiplying your personal effectiveness in quantum leaps. And that's really the goal with this, is quantum leaps, which I think is just insanely cool, because as I was going through this book, the goal, right, is U squared, and so it's like exponential growth. And I was reading this book, and I was speaking with my grandpa, and he was talking about this idea of how most people see business, which is a shame, because when you see it this way, it's sort of limited. It's this idea that, you know, you go through school, you go through college, you go through your first job or second job, or you just keep working, and you're on this linear growth path. I don't know about you guys, but I think this one looks a lot better than this one at the end, right? Once you get to that end point at the beginning, it's tough to tell, because even if you square, if you square like a small number, like 1.1, if you keep squaring and at least for the first couple of squares, it's gonna be pretty similar as just adding it to itself. Or sometimes you might even start out lower if you're adding, and the traditional linear path might be faster up into a certain point. But then you get to this point in the future where when you apply the principles of U squared, all of a sudden it goes from like break even to just exponential outperformance, which I just think is just insanely cool. And so the way like I figured out about this like insanely powerful, like dense packed booklet was, I was literally like, one of my mentors, Russ Robinson, has these insane books, and I'm doing book reviews on these, and they're just the coolest ever. These get to change my life. And I go through one of his courses, and he's doing an interview with this one guy he worked with, and he, right now he's approaching, essentially making $1 billion company and leading $1 billion company. And just, it's insane. Like the success he's had and the growth he's had and the impact he's had has changed so many lives. It's ridiculously cool. He's sitting there on this interview with this one guy, and they're just sitting with each other on Google Hangouts. And the other guy on the other end of the line, who's insanely wealthy, he pulls out this book and he says, "This is the coolest book ever." And then he gets like this huge bookshelf next to him, pulls out this little teeny booklet off the shelf, and he says, out of all the books, like the 500 books I have here, this is the one thing I read the most and reference the most. And I was like, dude, holy shit, went to Amazon, bought it immediately. You know why? Because what is in here, like after going through this, is insane, dude. And there's so many principles. So a couple of them, there's like, maybe I'd say, if you look at the beginning of it, they have about a table of contents, right? And there's like, I'd say maybe 10, 15, 20 secrets in here about how to actually like exponentially scale the results that you can create as a person, which is just ridiculously cool. And you can look at like some of the table of contents stuff on Amazon or whatever. But what's cool is like a couple of these things I kind of learned through experience just by starting my first company, and then the rest of them are just like groundbreaking. It's just insane what's in here, and it's like really cool because you put in like this little amount of work right here, and you understand these core concepts, and what they'll do is they'll serve you throughout the rest of your career, which I just think is ridiculously cool. They'll give you the ability, especially at the beginning, to set the really strong foundation that you need to get just a little bit of growth, just a little bit of, and then grow over time. And then you get to this breakout point right here where you do have U squared, where you get to that point where you're breaking into new exponential geometric territory, and you're having that quantum leap. The moment you get there, like, oh my god, it's so cool. It's so insane to see like so many mentors, so many people I study that have like been extremely, they're like up here, and to see where this quantum leap breakout point was. Because so many of them, right, they start out just like everyone else, and the only difference between the billionaire and millionaire is mindset, right? And knowledge, and what they know about how to multiply themselves. So it's not just them running the company, not just them doing the work, but in reality, it's U squared. And it grows, and it grows, and it grows. And it's just like ridiculously cool, because it's like, it's not just like, outsource stuff or whatever, but it's about like how to fundamentally change the way you think about what you do and make it so that the whole difference between, mediocre success and massive impact comes down to knowledge and mentality, right? And I think what this does is just so crazy because it gives you that ability to make those quantum leaps in a very, very condensed period, a condensed format, right? I mean, it's really just the stuff that you need to know. And like 5 pages of the book is just insane. Just really cool. So it's not just like, work principles, but it's also like life principles. And it's so crazy. I know you guys know like Ray Dalio's books, like Principles. It's kind of like he took the whole book, it's like a 400-page book, and then like put it into like a little 20, 30, 50-page booklet. And then made it like, it's all about scale, and it's so much more about scale, and so much more about speed, right? So instead of focusing maybe on the normal path, the traditional path, so much of what's in here, especially at the beginning, it's about like getting to market with speed, and making it happen faster, so that maybe, you don't want it to take as long to have this quantum leap, and you can make it happen faster. How can you make it happen faster? This is really something I wish I read like years ago, because what it does is it changes the way that you look at like the first beginning and the next part, the next phase. It changes the way you look at the phases of personal, business, professional growth. And what it does is it's so interesting, like instead of focusing on the normal route or focusing on the slow way, you can take it with speed. Because like you don't have to wait until this point right here to actually have this geometric growth versus linear growth. Like you can start the race running really fast. And it all comes down to just where your mindset is and where you want to start, and how you can leverage others so that you can create U squared, which is just like ridiculously cool. And it's not just others, a lot of it is others, but a lot of it too is also you, right? Because the title is U squared, right? So you have to do work on you, sometimes with the help of others, create this output where, here's you and here's U squared. I mean, it's just such a crazy great like philosophy and ideology, and the tactics in here are bar none, which is just like ridiculously cool. So definitely like it's a cool little story. I mean, this book it's not even like it's so like I read this in 2 bus rides on a Wednesday, and I think I'm gonna keep rereading because there's just so many. And what's cool is like you can just slip through the chapters, right? And like get uncomfortable, choose a different set of rules. And those are just like the chapter titles. And then they have like, these 1 or 2 page explanations for each chapter. And like, that's it, Like this is a whole chapter, right? And to think that like, you can get so much impact out of just like 20 of these secrets, it's so crazy. They got like everything distilled down into like 9-point gear amount, and it's like 1 page each. And like what's in here, I feel like probably took somebody like 10, 20, or 30 years to understand. And it's like all right here. I mean, some PhD wrote it, which is just ridiculously cool. It's all right here. Like this booklet is 38 pages, and the impact on here of these like 20 odd secrets, I think is something that it's insane. It's just it's so powerful. You think that like, I always used to think like really impactful books, they had to be like long, or they had to be really like, these are some heavy books, like they're freaking big. And I know like my book's like 100,000 words, like that's a lot. And it's really interesting to see that this mindset shift and this total change of personal growth happen in such a short, dense period of time. I think it really does attest to that 80-20 principle, the idea that you can get 80% of the results with 20% of the work. It's ridiculously cool. So definitely recommendo for like, free up your time, free up your energy, free up your work, being able to really get more done while sort of approaching things differently and working not necessarily harder physically, but harder mentally, right? And thinking and growing rich. It's ridiculously cool. And it's got some good topics it expands on from Think and Grow Rich, but it's mostly like genuine 21st century. This is the shit. It's a hard hitter, and it's really interesting. So, like honestly, I want to rip out like all the pages in this book and just like post them on the wall, because like each of these pages is it's like pure gold. And I mean, these are things that like, I started my first company, like these are like actual phrases that I would like to think about. And it would have been just so useful to have this as a tool, you know, before you go into here. Because like what I was doing what most people are doing. And I was pushing and pushing and chugging. I was struggling along until I got to this point right here, just with normal, standard, you know, linear growth. Thinking in this trapped mindset that you have to go by a step-by-step sequence to get to that end result. But in reality, you don't have to go at a step-by-step sequence. You can take any trajectory, any angle, any achievement that you want and make it happen your way by leveraging the impact focus points of your personal and professional life. It's just ridiculously cool. And this is a limiting belief so many people have. You know, you have to go through the system, you have to go get your MBA or whatever, right? It doesn't matter. Versus knowing that like you can take the steps to have immediate success. It's just a total groundbreaker. And get here instead of here, you know? Really cool stuff. So yeah, it's really sick. I love it. So yeah, man, high velocity formula. Like they don't go, you know, soft on this. Like they put it in the title, they put it in the subtitle. Like it's a formula, you know. It's not like this speculative stuff. Like this is what you follow. This is what you do. These are the simple shifts that you make. And if you do that, like that's how you get to U squared. That's how you get to the impact. That's how you get to the end. It's all just by following this formula, which I think is ridiculously cool. So I'll leave a link below. You guys can check it out on Amazon. It's like super cool. But yeah, really fun stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you get a ton of value from this. Go out there, apply it, and absolutely crush it. Thanks guys. Bye.